How can I make a cohesive theme in a junk journal? This is a design team project for the Digital Collage Club. Hello, it's Barbara from Vienna, Austria. Thank you so much for being here. So how can we create a cohesive junk journal? I'm going to take you along creating an autumn-themed junk journal. Obviously, you can do this with any theme. And I'm going to be making a super simple, beginner-friendly no-sew binding at the end. I've already created all of this in 2 recent videos. So these pages and ephemera pieces are from the international collaboration organized by Joey DeFee using your sewing machine by stitching curvy lines. So this was one of the pages. This was the other one, and then I made this embellishment, which is going to go on the cover of this journal. And then I have this, which is a coin envelope. And all of these here are from Jelly Plate Experiments inspired by Louisa Heinzel. So I will link both of those videos below for you. And also these are some of the printables, which are fall themed, which I'm going to be using from the Digital Collage Club. So if you're new here and don't know the Digital Collage Club yet, it's a membership-based website with thousands of royalty-free digital collage sheets, vintage graphics, scrapbooking, card making, and digital craft supplies. You get instant access and all images are created especially for this club. Each week, new images are added and you can sell whatever craft items you create with these images. You can get either annual or lifetime access, and I have discount codes for both linked below. I do want to mention that I receive a commission if you use these links, so you will be helping my small creative business out as well. So thank you in advance if you decide to sign up or if you have joined in the past using my link. These 2 here are my biggest pages, and now I wish I would have made them more narrow because it would have been really nice if I could have just taken a standard A4 paper and folded it in half to give me a journal page. But now I can't do that because these pages are wider and I cannot cut them down enough. So that means that I will have to glue some pages together. I will do that just by, actually I won't do it this way, I will do it this way. So I will just join always 2 pages together with probably, I don't know, some other pieces of scraps on the front and the back. And for this binding method that I'm going to show you at the end, I think it works best if all the pages are pretty much the same height. The width doesn't matter, you can have more narrow pieces, but the height should be fairly the same for this to work best. I now have 12 folded pages. So one was this one. Then I have 2 with beautiful vintage book pages. Then I have 2 beautifully coffee-dyed ledger papers. These are from Debbie's Happy Mail from the US. Then I have this beautiful green one, which I bought locally. I believe this is a handmade paper. And then I have 6 coffee-dyed papers. So as you saw, I just folded them because I decided I don't want to glue all of these together. So I just folded them. and we're just gonna have shorter pages, which is totally fine. So now all I have to do is to mix these up. This journal is just going to have one signature, so super easy. So of course I'm going to want to mix up the coffee dyed ones with these other ones. So I'll maybe start off with one of these. And if you're wondering, this pattern I got from placing this doily, which I also used in the jelly printing, over my paper. So I just put the paper down, put the doily on it, and sprayed it with coffee and let it dry. And also these two here. We have this one and this one. These were done with my placemats that I bought, that I also used in my jelly printing video. So again, I just laid it over the paper and sprayed it. Actually, these two I made differently, so you can see they look a bit different. So this one, I just put the white paper down, put this on and sprayed it. And with this one, I sprayed it first, then put it down and sprayed some more. This is why this one has no white spots and this does. Finally, we have these two, which I think look super cool. This here actually reminds me of pine needles. So I think that is very cool for like a nature themed journal, autumn or winter themed journal. And this one has the same, but it has a little bit of red in there because I added some red watercolor splatters afterwards. And I got that effect by spraying through this. Maybe you remember this from the jelly plate printing video. So in our jelly plate printing experiments, we had this, and they both came from this. And when I now used them for coffee dyeing, this is how they came out. So I think these are really, really cool patterns. So I will just mix these up quickly. I think I will use this as my first page because I think it's such a cool and fun and colorful, bright page. So that will be the first one, and then I'll just alternate between coffee dyed ones and other ones. So this one, then we'll do another coffee dyed one. Then we'll do a floral one. Then we'll do another coffee dyed one. And this green one. Another coffee dyed one. This ledger paper. Another coffee dyed one. And another floral one. And finally another coffee dyed one. So we have a huge variety of different widths, which is super fun. I love that already. Yeah, so we are ready to start decorating. So here is my color palette. Obviously, it is all the fall colors. So a lot of yellows, oranges, reds, browns. And we've made all this in the jelly plate printing video. So what I want to do now is go through the journal and add bits or sometimes even whole pages to cover some of these more plain pages up. Sometimes I will just use bits of it, and sometimes I will use whole pages. And I'm doing this quite spontaneously. I'm really doing my best here not to overthink this or not to be a perfectionist. Since all of this ephemera is in one color theme, it doesn't matter where I put it in the journal, it's going to work. So that's the beauty of making some ephemera maybe beforehand or knowing what you're going to work with. Of course, also all of these here from the Digital Collage Club, they're also, of course, in the same color scheme. So if you know what you're going to work with in your journal, it makes it very, very easy to have then a cohesive look in your journal. This one, I think I might add as a pocket to one of the wider pages. So let's see where the first one is. Wow, there's a huge thunderstorm happening outside. So if you hear thunder, that's what's happening. So this one I will just glue on the 3 sides. Just make sure I don't glue the wrong side. For this, I'm just using my 3-in-1 glue. Oh, I should have put like the hole in here, like a half circle. Could still do that. Do I want to? No, actually, you know what? I won't. I always do that, so this time I won't. This one I really, really love as well. So this one I think also is going to be a pocket, but it doesn't have to be on such a wide pocket. Let's put that more in the back. I'll put it here. Just love this torn raggedy edge here on this pocket. This one here, I think I'll just put on this one. So just tear that down. So this one I love as well, and I don't like this so much, so I will just put this over that. If you remember in one of the videos, this is a couple months back, I asked you for questions you wanted us to cover on the podcast that we had with Joey DeFee and Louisa Heinzel, and quite a few of you were interested in learning how to make a cohesive junk journal and how to have a theme. So hopefully this answers your questions. So I've tried to spread these out fairly evenly. I didn't put a lot in yet because I wanted to keep a lot of the other bits for collaging. So we have this one here. Then there's nothing. Then we have this one. Then we have this one. And I also don't know yet what I'm going to put in the center here. Then we have this one. And lastly, we have this pocket here. So that's all I'm putting in for now. And of course we have the butterflies in the back. And if I have more bits left over later, I will add them in. Now, one thing I also want to mention, when you have as many pages in a signature as this, so this was 12 pages, what you will see is that, of course, the middle pages are in farther than the outer ones. So there's quite a difference here. So that means your inner pages are going to be sticking out further if they were all the same size. So all you just do is you cut off, actually I already did this, I just cut off a sliver here of all the pages in the middle. So I just put them all together, made sure that they are together here. And then just I took my ruler, I drew a line with my pencil, and I just cut off that edge. Of course, making sure that you have no folded pages here where you would cut off the fold. That wouldn't be such a good idea. Actually, I found one more. I want to use this as a full image as well because it is just so cool. Although the collage pieces of that would also be cool. Of course, I could copy it, but I'm not gonna do that now. I'm just gonna take it as it is and find a page. I'll put it here. I'll just glue the whole thing on. This is, of course, just one of probably a million different ways you can make a junk journal. And of course, my style and my techniques are evolving all the time. So if you were to ask me to do this in a year, it would probably be, hopefully it would be very different than what I'm doing right now. And now I'm just actually seeing this here. This is like a letter paper. It was white, so I just coffee dyed it. And this kind of also reminds me of autumn. So I'm thinking I could also put this somewhere. Why not? Maybe there. Just making sure it's not too close to anything else. Or we could also put it on the green. Actually, the green might be really nice. Yes, I like that. I will just cut that down a little bit because it's a little too wide, and then I'll glue that on. The next thing I want to add to my pages is some stamping. So I'm a very lucky girl because I got these two amazing stamp sets from Debbie, again from the US Happy Mail. I will link that video of the amazing unboxing, very emotional, below for you in case you haven't seen it yet. So as you can see here, I have these beautiful leaves. So this is the number, so it's called pressed foliage. And there's a number here in case you want to look those up. And then, of course, these are the entomology stamps, and this is the number. So don't worry if you don't have stamps like these, because I know many of you obviously won't have them. You can use other stamps, like, for example, I have this one, which is a really cool crackle pattern. This one is from Crafty Individuals. So here's their website. This is the number of the stamp down here, 116. And just a note that these don't come mounted. So these here, for example, normally when you buy stamps, you see they're mounted already, but these come just this red part. So you need to buy this foam, which they have in the Crafty Individual shop as well. And you will have to stick that on yourself and then cut it out. So it comes like in a bigger mat, and you just have to stick it on and cut it out. So they are a bit cheaper, I think, than elsewhere, but you have to put in the work. Or you have other nice scripty stamps, like this one is awesome as a background. Maybe you have another type of scripty stamp. Or maybe you have butterflies, dragonflies, anything nature related, of course, would work for this journal. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start stamping these. And I think for all of them, I'm going to use my Memento Espresso Truffle ink, just because I don't want it to be a very harsh stamp. Like the black would be very harsh, and I just want it to be softer, so that maybe you could add some journaling on top or whatever. I just don't want it to be the main focal point. I love this. This is so cute. Beautiful. The fun thing is, actually, I have no idea yet where I'm going to be putting what ephemera. So I really enjoy that I am just building up this journal, not knowing what I'm gonna do next. Or I mean, I have a pretty good idea what steps I'm gonna take next, but I don't know what is gonna go where. So I don't know, is this the best position for my stamp, or should I have put it down here? I will work that out in the next step. So I will just work with what I see here and then add things to it. I think that's much more fun than planning the whole thing out from the beginning. I think we need to stamp something here. And another thing that I think would be fun, if you have leaf stamps or something, would be to stamp it on a separate piece of paper, cut them out, and then maybe even color them and use them as ephemera instead of as background pages. On this one, why don't we stamp over the whole page and just make a fun pattern? One of the things I was always interested in doing, if I wouldn't be making junk journals, is designing patterns, because I think it is so beautiful to make some patterns. Maybe one day I will, who knows? And the last one. What do you think? I love it. So again, by adding similar items throughout the journal, like these stamps, it makes the whole journal look cohesive. And when you're stamping, it's always a good idea to take your journal pages out so that you have a flat surface to stamp on. Otherwise, your stamp might not come out well, and we don't want that. And obviously, if you are going to color your stamps afterwards, you need to make sure that you're using a permanent ink. Just make sure you're kind of spreading them out evenly, so they're not all in one area of your journal and then there's long parts where there's nothing. And And I'm just trying to keep it interesting by varying where on the page I stamp it. I feel like we need one more back here somewhere. Maybe on this one. Okay, I think that's enough of the stamping with these leaves. I might add some other stamping later. I also just found these two stamp sets, which are of course absolutely perfect for an autumn themed journal. These are both from the Your Creative Studio subscription box. You can find their link down below as well. I don't get these subscription boxes anymore, but I love them a lot. And as you can see, there were a lot of items in there that are great for using in junk journals. So maybe I'll use some of these as focal points on a collage or something. So another way of color coordinating your pages is of course by using paint. So I have some cheap acrylics here. These are some of the same colors that I used for the jelly plate printing. So they will definitely go with the colors I have here. So one easy thing to do is of course stenciling. If you have any stencils that could work and they don't need to be plant themed, they can be other stencils, and maybe I will go grab some more actually. So that's one way of adding some interest. I think this definitely needs some color. Where shall we place it? Let's place it here. So what color should we try? Let's try this one. This is the pumpkin. I love that name for a color that I'm going to use in an autumn journal. I have a flat brush here, and I'm going to make sure that I don't have too much paint on it because I don't want it to seep through the stencil. Let's see how this goes. This is also a stencil, obviously. It's a Tim Holtz one that I received from Debbie from her Happy Mail. Oh, I could do this more than one color, I'm just realizing. Maybe I'll add another color. You could, of course, do the same thing with some distress ink if you don't want to mess around with acrylic paints. Yeah, that is quite nice. But I might actually go over it with another color, maybe some red. This is called tomato red. I don't want to clean my brush in the water now because it will get too wet. So I'm just gonna dip in my paint and hope for the best. And I'll try to place this over exactly again. And then maybe just paint some parts red. I figure if it turns into a disaster, I can always cover it up with something else. Basically, I'm just making all of the petals and leaves red now. Not planned. This might look really weird. It looks okay, actually. Better than I anticipated. Very, very red indeed. Now I have to dry this before I can move on. I also have this one. I've had this forever. I cannot give you a link. I'm super sorry about that. I will place it here. And let's try some woodsy smoke. I'll just dip my red brush into it, and if that changes the color, so be it. Okay, that looks interesting. Again, I need to dry this. I'm not super happy with this, so either I can still find a way to fix this or I can cover it up with some collaging. It is not a problem. And then instead of the stenciling, we can also, of course, just add some colors. So I'm going to take my other paintbrush. So this is a flat one. And I'll take some of this pumpkin and I can just make some lines. Super easy. Anyone can do this. This is similar to what I've done in my Asian fusion journal. They don't have to be super straight. At least I don't think so. Kind of like wonky. Then I'll make a shorter one. And we can do that sort of thing on different pages in different colors. We can take some scrap paper, painter and paint it. So we have a lot of paint left over here, and then we can stamp on it. That's gonna look cute as well. You could of course paint your book pages as well. A lot of us have so many book pages left over from altered book projects and other projects, so that's a good way to use them as well. Let's stamp some fun images on this. I'm using the same Memento Espresso Truffle ink. Do the same leaf on the red as well. And the rest here we can use for collage bits. I have cut out all the ones on the yellow paint. And I have just torn around the ones on the red paint. And now I'm ready to start on some of my collages for this journal. So I think I'll start on this page. I made a boo-boo here with stamping, so this definitely needs to be covered. Since this is quite a large page, I want to use a larger image. So I want to use one of these. I will list all the digitals I'm using from the Digital Collage Club down below. So these are all from One Digital, and it had the fourth image, which was the fox. So these four are on one sheet. So I want to, I think, use the deer for this one. This is a beautiful focal point, and of course we need to put something underneath him. And I also want him to have some torn edges. So I think I want to use some of this in the background. Maybe some of this here. And then I'll take my box of scraps. I want to add maybe a little bit of another color just to break up this red, orange, yellow pattern. I think that will be a nice break for the eyes. Oh, immediately I see this one. So this has gold and blue. So you might think this doesn't fit at all, but I really think this could be nice. Like this, I really like that. Then maybe we can fit this scrap here on the top. Yep, that works for me. So I'm going to glue all this down and then decide if and what else to add. I think this page definitely needs a little bit more gold. And of course, I'm going to use my Van Gogh watercolor 803. These you can find in various shops, both locally and on Amazon. Joann's apparently has it. And just to switch it up a bit, I'm actually not going to splatter it this time. I'm going to try using my spatula and see what happens. So I'm going to use this thin edge here. That looks really nice. It's of course a totally different effect. And I could still add maybe some splattering in a darker color on it as well. Yep, 3 is it, as always. 3's work. I'm going to try some black splatters with this Stabilo Woody. I've seen both Susanne and Louise, both are my wonderful design team members. They do this a lot, so I want to try it. You can do the same thing with a water-soluble crayon or even probably pencil, or of course you just use watercolor or even acrylic paint. There's a lot of options for doing this. So, oh yeah, first I need to cover up his face because we don't want any splatters in his face. That is always very important. I have messed up some in the past. Now, I'm not sure that this wide brush is the best option here, but we're just gonna try it. So I'm just gonna flick that. Ooh. Okay, definitely different to what I had imagined. Yes, I want some bigger splatters. Okay, I think that is plenty. So let's take this off. Might have actually been a bit too much, but it's okay. So I will dry this and then show you a close-up. The next thing I want to do is I want to tackle this last page because I don't want to leave it like this. I have already torn down another coffee dyed paper which will fit here. You can see just a little bit of this doily pattern which I got by just spraying some watercolor through the doily. It's very, very faint, but it's there. So I'm just going to glue this on here. So next we need to decorate this up. So I will just take the insides out to make it easier. And I thought I would use one of these here. Maybe I will take this one. And I would like to attach this with some scraps underneath for some writing space. So I only want to attach it on the top here. And then you can flip it up and access the other scraps that I will put underneath. I also found this leaf here in my stash. I must have gotten this probably last year from one of those fake flowers you can usually get around this time of year. And I thought maybe I could add this like this just for a nice decorative accent. But I think I want to spray this with some gold. Surprise, surprise. So I'm going to use some of this gold. I will just use my splatter brush this time. Oh, that looks really nice. Yes. While that dries, I'm going to pick some scraps to put under here. And I have here my scrap box with my coffee dyed paper scraps. These will be perfect. Want to pick some different ones. Maybe an avocado dyed one as well. Okay, I think that's a nice variety. So I'm just going to tear these down so I can put them behind here. And actually, thinking about it now, they don't all have to be smaller than this one. They could even be, some of them maybe a little wider. Why not? And I even think it might be nice to have them not all straight, but maybe to lay them out a little bit fanned. That again adds a little more interest. Yep, I like it. So you could now either just sew them together, either with a sewing machine or by hand, or you could just staple them. We could just glue them together, but I think I'm just going to staple them. It's definitely the quickest method, and I think we have a very nice variety of paper scraps here. Yep, that looks really cute, but this side is still very plain, so maybe we could add this piece here. And then let's see, I think the leaf is dry. I did use my heat gun on this. How beautiful is this? I love it. So if we put this behind like that, and then let's look at our scraps here. I have this one left over from another project where I was testing my distressed daubers. I've sewn through it. And this maybe we could add here to the top. Kind of finishes this off nicely. So I just need to glue things down. So I will just first glue this piece. Then let's glue the leaf onto the back side. Or we could also tape it maybe. Yeah, I think I will tape that. Then we can glue this on the, or wait, first let's glue this on the page. And then this, we glue this over it. And then I also have some more bits here that I found in the meantime. I have some wooden pieces here that might work on some of these pages. I even have this. This came in a Happy Mail. So I have some flowers. This is great, the colors. I have some white ones that I could still paint or dye or something. And I was thinking, because I saw a little squirrel here. So this would again break the colors a little bit. To add another color I think would be really cute. So maybe down here, that would also help a little bit to weigh this first paper down. Not much, but a little bit. So I think that's cute, and I like that the tail is sticking out a little bit, so I won't glue that part. Like that, and I think I can call that page finished. Let's add the other papers back in. We need to add something here. I can't just, I mean I could, but I don't want to just leave it like this. And maybe we can add this envelope. This is one from our jelly plate printing session. I just added some coffee to it after I printed on it. And maybe we could just add it here in the middle like this, so that it flips open. And we need something to go in here. There's these cute mushroom images, and I think any of these would look cute in here actually. Maybe this one. Yeah, I like that. So I just want to put this on something a little sturdier and maybe even make a little collage with this. I have a scrap piece of cardstock, so I just need to cut it to fit in here. I will ink around this. I don't know why journaling cards kind of need to be inked around. I cannot give you a logical reason for it. And I'm also inking up this image. But before we just put that down like that, we could maybe add a piece of this, which is what I used for my jelly printing and coffee dyeing. I just tore a piece off, and I think this might be a really nice contrast and texture behind this. So I just need to cut it. So this material again will be something I will be using in several places throughout the journal to have a cohesive look throughout. Now the question is, what's the best way to glue this down? Probably with something like Mod Podge or Matte Medium. I have Art Podge, which I get locally, and I like it because it's matte. Unlike the Mod Podge, even the matte one is not matte. So I'll just put this all over. You could definitely also do this actually just with tacky glue, maybe watered down a little bit. And it looks like I need to add some on the top as well to actually make it stick down. Okay, I will let this dry. Once this is dry, I can stick my image over it. And then just to add a little bit something down here to give it some more interest, I could add just one of the cut-offs of this fiber. I can just add that here, and let's check my tiniest scraps. Maybe I can find something here to add on top of that. What about some lace? No. Yeah, that looks cool. This is, again, from Debbie's Happy Mail. This is a measuring tape, which is also Tim Holtz. That looks cool. And I just remembered on the packaging, because this was on the packaging actually, and there was an eyelet through here. That's why there's the hole. I could actually put an eyelet through here. I think that would look cool. So I will first attempt to put this fiber on. And then I'll get my crocodile. So I will just mark where I want this hole. And since we have gold going on here, I'm going to take a gold eyelet. Oh, maybe I should attach this. And then I'll just secure it like that. And now this can go in here. Let's see what that would look like. Yep, that is cool. And I'm just gonna glue the whole thing down. I mean the whole flap, even though it's a shame because I really love the pattern. But I have to adhere it somehow. I could, of course, attach it with a paper clip as well, but I'll just glue it down. Now maybe there's something I can cover this flap up with. How about with this one here? Now it's one of those times where I wish I would have planned ahead better, because if I wouldn't have glued this down, I could trace this shape onto this and then just glue that over that. And I don't have, oh, maybe I do have, I think I might have another one of these envelopes. Found one, yay! That is great. So now I can just trace this. There. So I think we can already see how this is getting very cohesive with the colors we're using, with the materials we're using, with the theme, obviously. So this is coming along nicely. I think we've come pretty far in this episode. So I hope you will join me again for the next session we do, in which we will also be making the cover. So be sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell to catch that next episode. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Love you guys. Mwah! Mwah!